And that's kind of really where this show is going when you talk about the CD component of it, because that's considered avoiding risk. But Teresa, there are other risks you're taking on.
Yes, and there's two big ones when we're talking about CDs that you need to be mindful of. One of those is taxes, and the other is inflation, because that is taxable. That growth is taxable to you, and then you have inflation on top of that. So if it sat still for 5 years and you're getting 0.57% for that CD, inflation is not below 0.57, so you're losing purchasing power. Oh, and by the way, whatever amount you walked away with for your growth on that is taxable. So you're going to have to pony up with the IRS on that part too. So it's a double whammy that affects it. And we have a graphic that we can show you for those of you that are watching on Facebook here that kind of illustrates this, looking at 2016 through 2020 and what those returns looked like. And back then you were even getting a little bit more on that 12-month CD than you could now. But you can see here that return was actually negative because we're not overcoming taxes and we're not overcoming inflation on those. So it's really important to understand that when you try to avoid one risk, you're often going to be taking on other risks. And when we're talking about a retirement period or a long-term goal, that inflation risk just becomes more important because you've got a longer period of time for it to affect your buying power.
Those are startling numbers, and you aren't. It, I think, points out that you're not avoiding the risk by putting, especially too much money in a CD. Again, we do want to iterate that it can be a useful tool if you have a short-term goal for part of your money. That's not what we're saying. Never use a CD. But if you are flying to safety in your mind, then that's what you're giving up right there. So, what is the answer?
Well, and I think before we even get into that, I think it's important to understand that sometimes you don't really understand the product fully that you're getting into.
Yep.
And so if you don't understand what you're really committing to, that's where the issue lies. If the CD is the right tool that you need for the project you're working on, that's different. But if I walked in here with a hammer trying to screw something to the wall, it's not going to work and it's going to create damage. So having the right tool is the key. Before we even talk about what the right tool is, I wanted to make sure you understood that.
Want more content like this delivered to your inbox weekly? Visit fastest4.com to learn more.